Hey y'all! Today I thought I would do something fun, kind of a meet the author question, would you rather type thing. I was trying to work on the Demon Queen, and currently when I work on my stories, I've been doing it in Google Docs, and like I've used a lot of different stuff in the past, like Microsoft Word, writing by hand in notebooks. I have so many notebooks. But Scrivener, but lately I've been mostly using Google Docs. I guess I'm just talking about this in case anyone is curious. Maybe this is boring, but I mostly use Google Docs now because it's just so convenient that you can access it anywhere. But also when I give my stories to my critique partner, it's the easiest way to do it because then, you know, we can just share the Google Docs and then make comments and everything. So anyway, long story. Yeah, I could not get it to work today and I started to get frustrated. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to do my next recording of Daughters of Fire and Sea, which will be a separate video. And I'm also going to do something fun. So anyway, long story about that. I found a list of would you rather questions from Epic Reads, which the article was called Would You Rather for Book Nerds. And the post was actually from 2015, and I had to take a moment and think, what was I doing in 2015? Because that seems like so long ago. And I guess my son was 1 year old, so yeah, that was kind of a long time ago. But anyway, yeah, I never quite know what do people want to know? What do people want to know about authors? And yeah, I don't know. So I thought that this list was kind of just a fun way to do something. And sorry if like this is making a lot of noise. It keeps rattling. It has little little daggers. I don't remember where I got it. I will have to figure that out. Anyway, so I will link the webpage for this Would You Rather if you are interested in doing it yourself. And yeah, I would also be curious, you know, you can answer the questions as well. It'd be fun to hear what other people think. And then also if you think of anything, it'd be fun to answer. So, okay. So number one, would you rather drop your favorite book into the toilet or watch it fall into a wood chipper? So I have become more leery about germs the older I get, and that's probably partially because I have two kids. And never have been as sick as I've been being a parent and everything. But so I would have to take a wood chipper over the toilet because I feel like either way it's destroyed. I mean, I guess if it fell into a toilet and you pulled it out really fast, then maybe you could dry it, but no, I would much rather see it scatter into tons of pieces. It'd be kind of interesting too. Yeah. Anyway, question 2. Read only 1 book a year, but remember everything, or read 100 books a year, but remember nothing. So this is a funny question because this feels like an odd thing for a writer to admit to. But I think it's more so the older I get too. But I have a hard time like recalling things that I've read, names of things that I've read. Actually, I've always kind of been this way with like bands and street names and anything. Like I can describe to you, you know, where to go by what it looked like, but if you want me to tell you the names, I probably won't remember. And it's kind of happens with books where I already forget like a lot of stuff, but then if I started like talking about the book with someone or something sparked the right memory, then of course it would all be there. Not all of it, but most of it. So, I mean, I already feel like I don't remember very much, and I read a lot. So I don't know. I feel like I would have to say read 100 books a year, but remember nothing, because I still feel like you would still remember something, like, and maybe it would be, I mean, then you could still feel inspired by the books and it was a fun experience each time. So versus a single book. I can't imagine that. Of course, I can create my own stories, so I suppose there's that, but still. Anyway, number 3, read only the first page of a book or read only the last page. I would definitely have to say read the first page of a book, because then I could just imagine kind of what happens versus, actually you could say that for reading the end too, because then you could think, how did it get to this point? Yeah, obviously there's downsides either way. Number 4, get locked in a library or in a bookstore. So I love both. But I would probably say library, because a bookstore, I would more likely be locked with other people. There wouldn't maybe be as comfortable chairs and things, or secluded nooks to where I could go read something. Probably I would also feel bad about reading all of the books in the bookstore without buying them, whereas the library, when I was a kid, I was so used to, I would go disappear into the stacks, sit down on the floor, and just read a huge stack of books. I really miss doing that. Anyway, so yeah, definitely bookstore. No, definitely library. Yeah, plus, there's so many really cool libraries in fantasy books, so I can imagine quite a magical, really cool, fun one. Anyway, 5, drop your book in a lake or accidentally set it on fire. I would probably say set it on fire, which again, this is kind of like the toilet one, getting wet versus totally being destroyed. I like fire, which is probably going to sound, I don't know, but fire's pretty and watching things burn is pleasing. Again, don't take that out of context. And yeah, I feel like it would be more enjoyment because you could actually find beauty in the moment, instead of if I dropped something in a lake, like a book in a lake, I would just be like, crap, that really sucks. So yeah. 6, read a book with a cliffhanger ending or read a book with a heartbreaking ending. So I think that my answer for this would change because I am a mood reader. So it all depends. Like, do I want to be super horribly depressed and sad? Or do I not? So I'm going to cheat and say it depends. 7, have the book's ending spoiled or never know what happens. I'm fine with endings being spoiled because I still get enjoyment from reading. So I think I would rather know what happens as opposed to never knowing what happens. Yeah. I could imagine what happens, but I would be really, really curious. Like, not knowing something kind of drives me a bit mad. So yeah. 8, read only one genre forever or never repeat the same genre after reading it once. Well, I would probably have to say one genre forever. I do like to read extensively in a lot of genres. Fantasy is, of course, my favorite. I also love murder mysteries. But I like to, since I'm a mood reader, I like to kind of shift around. And I also think it's really good for inspiration and everything, not just reading one type of book. And then also, sometimes when I'm working on a book, I don't want to be reading something that's like really close to the type of story that I'm working on. So I might read something totally different. Like, I'm kind of thinking now, I've been reading fantasy novels currently while I'm writing a fantasy novel, but I've been thinking that I might actually start reading a bunch of murder mysteries again now. So it's like totally different genre. I don't know. Or just maybe like vibes are different. Maybe something that's like really gothic and moody. I don't know. Anyway, right, so probably one genre forever, fantasy, because it's so enormous and there's so many things you could do in that, so I think I would survive. 9, read a book where the main character is killed off or read a book where the love interest is killed off. I would probably say where the love interest is killed off. I love a good love story and I would be horribly depressed if that happened and the love interest was gone, if like I really liked the relationship. But if I'm mostly invested in that main character that I'm following, and if that person disappeared, that would just be, I don't know, maybe that would be worse. Am I talking too fast? I don't know. I talk really fast. Sorry. 10. Read a book that's missing the middle chapter, or read a book that's missing the first and last chapters. I would say missing the middle chapter, because if I know what happened at the beginning and the end, I could probably imagine what happens in the middle, versus the first and last. I mean, it sets the stage. It, tells you what type of book it is, and the last, like, it wraps everything up. So having those missing, I would just be super curious. 11, love a book everyone hates or hate a book everyone loves. I don't know. I feel like I've been in both places. I mean, not every book is for everyone, and some books, we resonate with more than others. And I'm sure that there are books I love that other people hate, and I don't like books that other people, so it's kind of like a mixed thing. 12, loan a book to a friend who's known to ruin books, or drop a book in a pit of snakes. I would rather drop a book in a pit of snakes. I'm not the best sharer, especially of books, because I'm fine if you do this. I mean, your own books, but like, I don't like pages being bent or the spines being broken, and I've found that I just can't I can't lend out books unless you're like my very best, absolute best friend ever, who I know takes care of books. I would rather drop it in a pit of snakes, because you could probably rescue it before the snakes bite you. I mean, the question did not say that the snakes were poisonous, or they were biting you, or they were awake. I mean, you could get around this, I suppose. 13, be stuck on a deserted island without a book, or be stuck in a library full of books in a language you can't read. So this is where my writer brain kind of has fun, because if I was stuck on a deserted island without a book, that would be sad. But I mean, I could create new books in my head. I mean, I could create new stories. I could entertain myself, so that would be fine. But also, like, being stuck in a library full of books in a language you can't read. I mean, what are the parameters? Can you, is anyone else in that book? Can someone teach you how to read in that language? Or, maybe there's other people there that can read it to you. So it doesn't say that you're alone. So, I think I might rather be stuck in a library full of books, because, there could be other things, and, there might be snacks in the library, and, hot drinks and cozy chairs. Whereas if you're on a deserted island, like, no one's going to come rescue you or find you, maybe, where you're more likely to be rescued in a library. So yeah. It also kind of makes me think, though, of like, so I've been living here in Sweden for how many years is it now? It will be 3 years this summer, and I know more Swedish than when I arrived, but I still don't know a ton. Like, it's just really hard, especially working from home and being a super shy person and everything. Yeah, so I know what it's like to be surrounded by things that I don't quite understand. So it just makes me think of that. Jealous of my kids who are fluent in like 6 months. So unfair. Anyway, 14, bring only one book on a 12-hour flight, or bring an e-reader with only 10% left on a 4-hour flight. And again, I can't help but like sort of cheat on this question, because back before there were e-readers, I would stuff my backpack with like 3-4 paperbacks, which that probably wouldn't be allowed in this question, but like, could you buy a book from the airport? Or could you trade your book to another person on the flight? I think that having the e-reader with low power, 4 hours, depending on the book and the size of the book, and depending how fast that 10% disappeared, I don't know, you could be stuck without a book or whatever. I'm more likely to lend a paperback, especially that I've picked up for vacation. Like, sometimes I like to go places and then get paperbacks in that location, so I don't have to bring them home unless I absolutely love them. So I think I would rather take one book and then maybe trade it with somebody if I finished it, which I would. 12 hours, I mean, that's gonna happen. And 15, last question. Find out your best friend hates your favorite book, or share a favorite book with your worst enemy. I have no idea who my worst enemy is. I think it would be kind of sad if I found out my best friend hates my favorite book. But I do know that the people that I'm closest to don't always like all the books. Like, don't always love them like I do. So I'm already kind of used to that. So I don't know. I think that's kind of fine. But I mean, again, it's really hard to imagine. Like, I don't have any, you know, enemy where we've been locked in this struggle, and I can't put a face to someone as like who I would not give a book to. I would not give like my own personal copy, but I would probably give them a book. I mean, I think that would be fine. Anyway, so random questions. You now know what I would give the answer to. Could be kind of a fun thing to do with your friends, or like have a book club evening, whatever. So yeah, thanks to Epic Reads for that list. And yeah, I will link it in the description so you can find it if you want the whole list yourself. And yeah, let me know what you think, what your answers would be to some of these questions, and if you think of any cool questions as well. Anyway, so hopefully this was interesting. You learned a little bit more about me, and it was a fun way for me to pass the time and not be mad at my computer. So, all right, well, I will see you later. All right, bye.